Yes, reggae fans, this is Fully Full Word, and you're tuning in to the top ranking podcast sound, best sound in the world, so don't disappoint me.
All right, you're tuned in to the top ranking reggae podcast. It's the show where you get to hear the stories behind the songs. My name is Glenn Holdaway, and I'll be your host. If you're someone who has gone on YouTube and looked up tips on reggae production or lessons on how to play a bubble or even dub tutorials, surely you have come across the name Master Kahn, aka DM Kahn. Kahn has one of the most popular YouTube channels for all of these topics. He is an accomplished producer and talented multi-instrumentalist. His talents include playing the drums, percussion, bass, guitar, piano, organ, trombone, saxophone, and even the trumpet. One of Kahn's most notable works is Lover's Tune, a song he produced for Hawaiian artist Kapena Mokiao. I personally love this tune so much, I actually want to play a quick sample for you guys to enjoy right now. So, here it is, Lover's Tune by Kapena Mokiao, produced by DM Kahn. Yes, that was Lover's Tune. What a great song. I highly recommend checking out the rest of this one in its entirety, and it's up on DM Kahn's YouTube channel. And fun fact, the song was pressed on vinyl by the record label Roots Run Deep, but it is only available in Hawaii, which, like Kahn's YouTube channel, is a place I also highly recommend visiting. Anyways, besides producing hits like this for other artists, Kahn is also a member of his own original project, a reggae supergroup called the Rootsmakers. He teamed up with fellow YouTuber Kerrigan, who is the creator of channel Kerrigan Reggae Drummer. This channel is one of the most popular reggae drumming channels on all of YouTube, and if you don't believe me, go on there and just type in the phrase Reggae Drummer. His video, which coincidentally is titled Reggae Drummer 1, will more than likely be your first result. His most popular video has over 21 million views on it, followed only by his second most popular video, Reggae Drummer, but without the one. Kerrigan is a French musician, and the other two members of the Rootsmakers are also French. They are keyboardist Organics and guitarist Reggie Roots. Together, the Rootsmakers have made several great releases, including their newest single, Hard Time Lovin', featuring Kapena Mokiao. This song and all of their other music is outstanding, especially if you're a fan of the classic reggae and lovers rock sound. So, go and check out the Rootsmakers. Their music is available on all streaming platforms. As you can see, DM Kahn is a very busy man, and I'm grateful he was able to schedule some time to chat with me via Zoom from his studio in Vancouver. The Zoom interview ended up being an unexpected blessing, though, because since he was in his studio, he was able to treat us to an entire masterclass in dub production. He does some live dubbing and even breaks down some of his techniques and reveals the magic behind his craft. After watching this incredible demonstration, I guarantee you will have a whole new appreciation for dub and all the skills and technology that goes into it. And funnily enough, a few days after we completed this interview, I ended up going on tour to Vancouver, and we were able to meet up in person at the concert. So that was a very pleasant surprise. So, with all that being said, I think it's time. Without further ado, I bring to you my interview with Master Kahn.
1, 2.
How's it going, man?
Very, very well, man. It's so great to be here. How are you?
I'm doing well too, and I'm pretty excited about the video you sent me last night, dude. You're the trumpet master now too, the dub master and the trumpet master.
Thanks, man. I day one, I was just playing When the Saints Go Marching In. I was figuring that out just right before.
Nice, yeah. I see you got all your horns in the background right there. You got the full arsenal pretty much.
Yeah, man. I need to get a stand for the trumpet to kind of sit up there. It's on its way, but it's just chilling.
Wait, how's it balancing? Just
It's just standing up.
oh dang.
Yeah, so this thing is from 1945, man. It's pretty
Whoa.
old. It's got some love, It's yeah, I've always, reggae horns, man. Like there's nothing better,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can't wait to see the next video you make where you have the full horn section. I was just checking out some of your YouTube videos right before this with the DM Kahn and the Kahn men.
Oh yeah,
those are pretty awesome.
The clone brothers. It's funny,
Yeah.
the play on words for con, like the con artists, the convicts, like all the people commenting on like what the band name should be is part of the fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been a fan of those, and it's pretty amazing how you've been able to master so many different instruments, and not only that, I was checking out your studio tour right before this too, and dude, your gear is all like super vintage. I had no idea. Like you said, even the trumpet is from like the 40s.
That's my oldest piece of kit. Yeah, so the trumpet is, I don't know. Yeah, there we go. That one's from 45. The trombone is a King 2B from, I think, 56. This organ is from 1955. The clavinet is from 69. The alto is new. That thing's new.
Yeah.
The drum kit is I think from the 2000s. It's not a super vintage one. My bass guitar, that guy back there is the first thing that I bought. I think that's like, 2003 or something around there. So
Dude,
like
there was like an upright piano that you had in one of your videos.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was from like way back.
Yeah. It says that the patent was from 1896, and I figured it was from the 20s, but it's hard to say when it's actually from, because, they get the patent and then they have it. Some tuner was like, oh, no, it's from like the 80s. And I'm like, okay, so it's either from the 1920s to the 1980s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's a pretty broad window, but I was actually curious, like what you said, your bass was your first instrument. Like, were you originally a bass player?
Yeah, so my buddy Ahmed, big up Papa Ahms, he took me to a Whalers show. It was at the 5 o'clock Friday at the Del Mar Fair. Not like in
Nice.
the grandstand, but like in the winner's circle, like small stage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed this show. And at the end, he's like, "Hey, man, do you want to learn the bass guitar? Like, I got a bass, I could teach you." And so I was like, "Yeah, man, I'd love that." So he showed me some tabs, and the first song I ever learned was Zimbabwe. From
nice.
the Whalers. It's
Yeah,
just
freshly inspired.
such a heavy minor, conscious lyric song that's just like, yeah, spiritual and just amazing. And so, yeah, we started a little band and we played in the backyard for some, some people, and we just had a good time, like learning all the Bob Marley stuff, and we weren't
Nice.
very good, but obviously we were just playing whatever show we could in people's backyards, it's like, that's how you start.
Yeah, like how old were you at this time? Were you always like into music?
No, like, it's interesting. I was not into music until my teens. Like, so this would have been, I was about 17, I think, when I first started playing the bass. And yeah, I mean, I did play clarinet, in grade
Nice.
school. I tried the alto, I think, in grade 5, but I couldn't figure it out. I quit like very early, and I just gave up on music until my buddy who took me to a reggae show and really inspired me,
Was that like your first experience with reggae, or like?
So no, I would say live, perhaps, but my mom was big into like Bob Marley Legend. She loved playing that album. And so that's where I got an early, taste of Bob's music. It was like, I have a vivid memory of driving down in a camper to San Felipe, the long few hour drive, and my mom bumping Bob Marley, and she knew all the lyrics and stuff. So, and she'd joke around. She'd be like, "We be jamming, man," like. So I kind of like my first hint of it was from my mom.
Nice.
And then my buddy Ahmed, like taught me. And also there was this really cool dude from the Congo that we met him up. I used to live in Pacific Beach, and there's this little park called Kate Sessions. And it's a beautiful park, just like you can see the whole bay, on a hill. And he was just playing his tenor and just insanely great, jazz player. And we kind of did a trade-off. He showed me some like proper technique on the bass, how to really like, he's like, you got to do it round, you got to hit it hard and like with purpose and attack the notes and that kind of thing. And I let him use my little studio, which was this like 7-foot ceiling, maybe, if that. It was like a storage unit turned into a studio, and he's like, I really like the acoustics in here, can I record my horn when you're working? I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. So he gave me some bass lessons, and we followed him around. We always watched him play. He's just such a cool guy. And so I did have these musical mentors, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm like self-taught on a lot of this stuff now, but like a lot of the early years and the inspiration were from people.
Yeah.
And obviously, like through Ahmed and his friends, I started to learn about like early root stuff, not just Bob, like Gregory Isaacs, the Mighty Diamonds, like all of the like Dennis Brown, like all of the great reggae that, is out there that people who aren't into reggae might not really know about, the underground stuff that we, you and I, I'm sure, just enjoy and love.
Yeah. It's interesting that, you mentioned like Gregory Isaacs and Bob as some of your biggest influences. Like I hear that a lot in your drumming, especially. Like you've got like the Carly kind of snare sounds, but you've also got like the Style Scott, like Rootsmaker sound that you like
those are the
really
two.
Been able to emulate really well.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I mean, I'm getting there. I'm coming up on 4 years next month on the drums, which is crazy. Wow. It's just flown by. But I still feel that I have so much to learn, and my internal sense of timing is really quite poor. Like I have to be super consistent, or if I don't play for a week, it's like I feel like I'm 2 weeks back when it comes to timing. Like, I have all the little, like, you don't really forget the chops or the licks. Like, those don't really go away. But it's just that sense of, like, the good drummers out there. Like, I think of Murillo from, the Plays with Groundation. Like, he's just like a machine, man. Like, it's just absolutely nuts how he's just hitting like bullseyes, every note is a bullseye, and I'm like, lucky to kind of get like in the not the middle, not the bullseye, not the next one, but like I'm on the one after that, as far as timing. So, but I mean, I just kind of circling back to what we were talking about, like Carlton Barrett and Style Scott, and you'd have to say Sly too, because like. They both were like cousins. Like they very much had that rub-a-dub sound. But Style Scott, Roots Radix, he's my favorite drummer. And then Carlton. And I feel like, most people can do the kind of Roots Radix, like rockers, people. Like, and I would say a lot of like the reggae drummers, it's easier to learn that than it is the Carlton stuff. So for a long time, I'd say almost a year, I just focused on the one drop stuff. Cause like if you can't play a one drop, you're not a reggae drummer. If you can only play rockers and rub-a-dub and that, you're not really a reggae drummer, man. So it's like those are the two things that you got to know in order to like call yourself a reggae drummer, in my opinion,
Yeah. So when you would be practicing like your one drop, what were the things that you were working on? Like, how did you learn how to perfect that sound?
Yeah, so I don't think I have it perfected, but
Yeah, yeah.
I get where you're going. Like it well, it's I think it comes down to like I've heard many people say this. It's like those that feel it know it. And it's like I know what I want it to sound like. I know what I want the timing to be, but it's very much a feeling, you know? So like I would just put a click on cuz my timing's not great and I would just try to and like that that one's easier than the like the one right before the snare that late because what it is it's like the the 2 and the 4. We should talk about this too because it's a common misconception that how reggae is counted. The snare is on 2 and 4, and I have this on authority from Jamaican people who told me I was wrong in my tutorial.
Yeah.
So
it's like slower count instead of a fast count.
That's right.
That what you mean?
Yeah, it's or you could say like 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E, right? Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 on the drop on the 3. That's what I thought it was, right? Which is you could say it's half time or cut time. It's really the same thing, but if you listen to the intros on those old reggae songs and you count and when they go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3 and a 4. So that is the proof in the pudding, my friend. If anyone ever asks. But anyways, I mean, man, I got totally sidetracked of what the question was. But what I was saying is, okay, the 2 and the 4, the hi-hat is on time, but it's that and note that's late in the one drop. It's swung. It's like uchinka, uchinka, uchinka. You know what I mean? The and the ching is closer together because that is late in time. Yeah, if that makes sense. It's swung. And then interestingly enough, on the rub-a-dub stuff, later on in the later, like 83, 84, they started to actually rush. So, and where it's like actually that and note is rushed, not swung. So,
wow.
It's, I used to think, reggae's swung. It's always swung. But sometimes it's rushed, man. And I think that might have had to do with a little bit of the cocaine thing that was happening in the 80s. They went from real laid back to like, all right, let's hit it as hard as we can. And you know what I mean? And so I don't know. I don't want to like glorify drug use because that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm saying, I think that was part of the culture, right? And
sign of the times.
Yeah. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, that's so interesting how like, it's like these tiny little details in the hi-hat that kind of like change the entire feel of the drum beat. And those are like the tiny little attention to detail that I think, that's one thing that I've always enjoyed about your playing and your production is I feel like you really put the time into like the small details and getting the sounds really, really correct. Like especially the drum sounds. I was watching some of your drum tutorials where you show how to even like put the drum head on, how to tune everything. Like I really admire that level of detail that you put into getting the sound the way it should be.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I think that's what is involved if you're gonna do something right. Like you need the right ingredients. It's easy to talk about it in food. You can't make Mexican food without the carne asada, like with the marinade, the proper marinade. You're not going to get the same flavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the rice and the beans and all the combination of like, the authentic ingredients. And so I have obsessed with trying to figure out what is it about reggae that makes it so cool. And like, I think if you boil it down, what I've found in my sort of searching is it comes down to the heartbeat and it comes down to like, Afrocentric music. Like, I think that in that tribal, like if you think of the origins of, you know, the 12 tribes of Israel and like all of the, you know, if you go way back, I think that they were jamming on the heartbeat, the dunkum, 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 chink it, dunkum, chink it. It's that, it's got that pulse and that feeling. And I think what that is it's like, it's inspired by the creator, and it's their own interpretation of, you know, their music. And it is very much their music. And I also want to say, like, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are what I would consider a culture vulture. And, you know, that's the last thing that I want to be. What I'm doing is I'm trying to understand what that music is, because I love it so much. It resonates with me so much that, like, I just want to pay homage to it and, like, inspire other people to make it, because it's absolutely amazing. I think, you know, reggae music is the best music in the world. And I think it's because of how it makes you feel. And, like, going, like, even further deeper to that is, like, because the rhythm that we were given, and I say we, but like the people that originated the music, not myself, they were given the heartbeat, and they use that as inspiration to make their own music. And I think that's why I love it, because I have a heartbeat. I know everybody does, but like, just there's something about, you know, I think the tempo too, and there, you know, I know I'm getting real deep into like thought about this, but I sometimes ponder about it. It's like, I'm a pretty laid back guy. I got a pretty low resting heart rate, and I love those slower, you know, 60 BPM, where the swing is really apparent and wide open. You know, I resonate with those BPMs, and you know, for that reason, I think, you know, is what it's my best guess at it anyways.
Yeah, man, I love that. And it's so interesting that you mention like that's where reggae music comes from, is kind of like the heartbeat and like the source of life, you know. And I was thinking about that, kind of reminded me of something that Lee Perry said about dub and what he was inspired by, like what he was going for with when he was creating all of these sounds. And he would say that he was inspired by like the sounds of nature, like the thunder crashing, like the sounds of the beach, all this stuff. Like, and it's so interesting that that's like where a lot of this music comes from, and maybe that's why it resonates. And also, I'd never thought about this before, but you said like, like maybe like the rate of your heart, like you're kind of a laid back, easy person. Maybe that's why like these tempos or frequencies kind of like resonate with us. So yeah, that's really interesting. I never thought of it that way. So thank you for sharing that perspective. I really, it's some food for thought for me too.
Yeah, man. I think you also, I didn't say it, but you said it. Something that I just picked up on. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. I'll have to watch it back. You said frequency. And like, you know, as a mix engineer, I think of frequencies. I think of the lowest low, the 20 hertz that we can kind of perceive, and then the highest high, maybe 20 kilohertz or whatever. If you're 30, if you're a dog, 50, whatever. But like, there's also the tempo is the frequency too, because it's how frequent, you know, it turns around. And I've also heard that there's something special about the frequency, having the right frequency, singular, not frequencies, but frequency of the music. And that came from Aston Family Man Jr. That was a quote that I heard from him, and I think it's along the same. There's something there. Do I know what it is? Not exactly. And I think that that's part of why I like reggae too. Is like there's some mystery, some, you know, there's a natural mystic flowing through the air. You know, it's like we don't know exactly all the things about it, but you know, I think people from different walks of life can still appreciate whatever that is. You know.
Yeah. That's so you like when you're talking about like the frequency, it's almost like a tempo at that point. Like how often like it's like how often that's occurring, and it's almost like hypnotic at a certain point. I feel like, especially with reggae, you know.
It is, man. I think even Peter Tosh said something about that, where it's like he's like, I figured out how to get people into this, like, you know. I don't want to say
like a trance. Almost?
Yeah, like trance. I don't know. That word I'm not a huge fan of, but like he figured out how to get people like locked in to listening, to paying attention to his music, right? And I think it's that hypnotic, or whatever you want to say. It's that like, it's the clanging of brass and cymbals, you know? And I think of like, when I think of the word frequency too, I think of the ringing hi-hat. You know, when I play and you listen to some of the real old stuff, they used to have this super bright hi-hat.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
It had this like peaky, not harsh, but you know, it definitely tickled your ears, you know?
Yeah.
And it puts you in this, like, you're thinking about that, maybe consciously or not. For me, it's consciously, because I'm trying to figure out what makes it great. But yeah, Peter Tosh has said something along the lines of like, I understand how like to make the code and like make people listen so that I can actually tell people what I want to say, right? And so, because I mean, as an artist, right, you imagine you're Peter Tosh, what do you want to do? Well, you want to get your message out to all the people that would listen, you know? And it's funny because I'm the opposite. Like, I just want to make the music. I don't sing. I don't have a message per se in my music. I mean, I do. I'm a spiritual person, you know, but like that's for me, and people that listen they're gonna catch it. It's not intentional, but you know, I'm put on this earth for a reason, and I feel like this is it, you know, outside of providing for my family and, you know, my day job and all that stuff. But you can get pretty deep with it, but I think it's pretty cool that you know, reggae it definitely there's something different about it that piques, you know, the interest and gets people in this like state of mind, I guess you call it.
I think maybe instead of a trance, like maybe more of like a meditative state.
Yeah.
Maybe something more like cause I think about that sometimes, like even like Midnight's another band that I would think of that like is kind of like meditative, and like when you kind of get into that state, you become really receptive to the message and like the spirituality in the music. Mm-hmm. And at least that's been my experience with it. I think Peter Tosh is kind of similar in that way, like almost like a prophet in some of his music.
Yeah, definitely. So, you could say the same about Bob too, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and even Bunny Wailer, like a lot of them, a lot of them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's almost one of the secrets of reggae, I feel like, is getting people into that mind state and that like, that openness to, almost like this, like a spiritual experience in some ways, I would say.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is kind of reminding me of another thing too. Big Youth was talking to me at one point, and he said like something that kind of blew my mind a little bit. He's like, hey man, like when you're playing your trumpet, like think about what you're putting out into the world. Cause he's like, just because we don't see the vibrations coming out of our instrument, like they could go on forever. Like we don't know where that vibration ends.
Whoa.
So think about like the intention that when you're playing, like that intention is being like transmitted to people. Even if they don't hear it, they might be affected by like that vibration that we're creating as like musicians.
Man,
and that kind of like tripped me out too.
Honestly, I have goosebumps as you're telling me that story. That's pretty wild. Yeah, that's cool. Wow, what a pleasure to get that kind of mentorship from a guy like him.
Yeah, it kind of reveals like the mind state that a lot of these musicians were in as they made this music, and perhaps why it's affected us the way that it has. And it's even interesting too that what you were saying earlier about, you know, you said you're like, oh, you know, I'm not like, I don't really have a message in my music. But interestingly, like even though the music you make is instrumental, like I kind of already picked up on like the thing you said earlier, like you were kind of saying your mission statement is like, you just want to spread the joy of reggae music and inspire people the way that it's inspired you. And like, that's what I've gotten out of your music without you even having told me that, you know? So I think
that's
like
pretty cool,
sometimes
man.
Like the intention that we put into our music can, even if there's no words, like it still can be translated depending on like, like what we're putting into it. So that's,
that makes sense, man. Yeah. It's like, it's maybe not completely intentional, and it's okay to be intentional is what Big Youth was telling you. Like, figure out what it is that you're sending, you know, when you're doing that amazing line, like what is it that you want people to maybe like be able to grab and you know, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. Like I think that's one of the really cool things about reggae too, is like so many people kind of mistake it for, it's like, oh, it's like, you know, it's so simple, it's just a skank or whatever. Or even the horn lines, like they're not the most like technically difficult horn lines, but they have like, they can be so impactful. Like I was thinking of Sata Masagana, like it's a pretty, you know, ba 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 ba, like most people could probably play that, but like the feeling that it can convey when it's played with that
Yep.
intention, like it can be like so powerful. Like to me, it's like the greatest horn line in all of reggae, you know?
Yeah, man.
Because of that, it's so simple, but like
We learned
deep
that
and spiritual.
song. My buddy Ahmed taught us that song. We would play that
Really?
song. Yeah, like imagine, imagine you're in a backyard pool party. People are drinking and whatever, you know, and we're playing like Sata. It's kind of funny. It's kind of ironic in some sense, but yeah, Abyssinians are, you know, one of the originators, and yeah, like, I mean, that's a highly spiritual song. And the way that it's played, even if you didn't hear the lyrics and you just heard the horn line and you just heard the song, you would feel something.
Definitely, yeah.
And like, yeah, and I think there's something to be said also and this is generally true in all of reggae, is like, it's the combination of very simple things put together to create something that is very provoking, you know what I mean? And even complex, you could say,
Yeah.
right? Like with the different rhythmic stuff that's going on in that song in particular, and like the heavy bass, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, but the horns and also like where it goes melodically too is not,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's not like any other song that is around, you know what I mean? Just like, yeah, it's simple and it goes to the normal places that reggae songs go. But like, if you'd never heard reggae at all and you heard that song, you'd be like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
what is this? You know?
Yeah. Dude, I love that you brought up like the chords of that song too. Like that whole album, Sata Masagana by the Abyssinians. That's personally like my favorite reggae album of all time. Like, do you know the song Abendigo?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dude, like
Shadrach, Meshach, and
Yeah.
Abednego.
dude,
That's a
so
good one.
I've been wanting to like write an article about this, because to me that's, in my opinion, that's one of the greatest reggae songs of all time. Like
Yeah.
from a songwriting standpoint too, because like the story, like the biblical story is like, when the horn sounds, you're supposed to bow down to this idol, right?
Right, yep.
And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they refuse to do it, so they get cast into the fire, but an angel comes and protects them, right? That's like the
Yep.
premise of this song.
Yep.
So the song opens up with this epic horn line, right? Just like the story in the Bible, like the horns are sounding, like it's time to bow down. And then like the verse starts, it's like minor and kind of like yeah, it's like really dark and minor, saying like they're about to get thrown in the fire. As soon as they get thrown in the fire, the chorus starts and it switches to major, and it's like there was God protecting them, you know?
Yeah, man.
Like, so from a songwriting standpoint and like the way it tells the story, it's like one of the most perfect songs I think that like reggae songs ever written. Like I really wanted to like, maybe some point I'll do that, like write an article or something describing this, because yeah, it's incredible, man.
Man, that would be super cool. You should definitely do that. And like, I think you should almost talk over the song and like break it down, what you're hearing and what makes it so great, you know?
Yeah.
Like Rick Beato does that on his channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like what makes this song great. And he has like the stems and everything, and he really breaks it down on a musical level, which is
Yeah.
interesting. But not to take away, like, not saying, yeah, you should do that, because I didn't even notice that. Like, I'm not trained in music, you know what I mean? And my grasp on musical theory is very basic, but I love how literal the story is, and how it goes from heavy, minor, and then like you caught that because you're super musical and you really have a high level of understanding for music. And I think it'd be cool to like get your perspectives on that, you know, over the song, like even pause it, like, yep, this is what I'm talking about. And then, you know, you play your horn and you kind of like just show what they're doing. And yeah, I can already imagine it, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a great idea, man. And I appreciate the idea. Yeah, shout out to Rick. He's another great music YouTuber.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think maybe that's kind of like a good transition into, you know, your YouTube channel. Like I'm going to give you a big intro, you know, before we roll all this, so people will be up to speed with, you know, what you're doing on YouTube and where they can find you. But I just want to go on the record and say that, like, to me, you have one of the best like reggae production channels out there. Like the resources that you provide to people are like super, super valuable. And I want to kind of hear the origin story behind like how you started your channel, like what your mission was and is, and you know, what people can expect if they were to go on your channel. And like, yeah,
for sure. Well, thank you, man, for the kind words. I really appreciate that. It was born, my YouTube channel started for fun, right?
Yeah.
It started out of fun, and then it kind of transferred into something else out of necessity. So basically, I was in the band, right? And the drummer had to quit, and we tried to reform a new band and this and that, and it didn't quite work out. And trying to get a bunch of people together, you know, to practice and rehearse is difficult, you know? So I just decided, hey, why don't I buy a laptop and like get GarageBand and like just do this on my own? Because I was the guy that came with all the rhythm ideas, you know, and I really had the drive to like, let's make some great reggae, you know? That's always been my thing. So I got a laptop and I got GarageBand, and I tried, you know, I made a song, and then I got Logic because the sounds in GarageBand are kind of trash, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yes, there's like good sounds here in Logic, and like really they're okay, you know?
Yeah.
but for me, they were awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so I started to get like pretty good at making reggae, you know, in Logic.
Yeah.
And but the problem was there was no content on YouTube about making reggae. Zero, man. None.
Yeah.
And so I would have to go, you know, who did I watch? The Recording Revolution, Graham Cochran, who's the other? Anyway, so a bunch of YouTubers, right? But it was like about rock music and maybe metal and some hip hop, some funk. Like that was the stuff that was out there. And that was like in 2003, 2004.
Wow.
And so I just got this like hodgepodge of mixed tips and like how to do EQ and how to do compression. And I just figured it out, you know, with reggae. But also I did have one guy who kind of helped me. He told me like, okay, like the piano's here, and then the guitar is like just above that, you know, and then the bubble organ just sits underneath that. And I'm like, what do you mean sits underneath? And like, so he kind of broke down to me how reggae should be mixed. And that was super valuable to me. So anyways, once I kind of got good, I'm like, I want to give back to YouTube because I did learn a lot, you know, from those channels. And so I made a tutorial that's just a screen capture of how to make a reggae song in Logic. And man, I got so many comments like, this is awesome. Like, dude, you just showed me so much on, you know, how to make reggae. And I was like super pumped about it. I was like, I was shocked of the reception that I got, you know, from my first video or whatever. And so my wife was going to go out of town with my daughter. And so I had a week coming up. And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to do like a series on reggae, right? And so that video series is called Kahn's Reggae Production Corner. And like the lighting is terrible. I'm like in my little studio that's like my daughter's crib behind me, you know? And I got like my one guitar, my Scarlett like focus right, like little 2x2. And
Yeah, that's what I'm recording on right now.
yeah, no, dude, it works, man. I'm not knocking on it. I just, you know, it's what I had, and I was making reggae with it, and people were like liking it, and like they wanted to do the same. So I made this cool, I think it's a 3 or 4 part series on like how to make reggae, and I had my buddy Kapena Mokiao, who's like one of the most wicked R&B schmood Hawaiians. And he did the vocal for me, and it's called Music on My Mind. It was just a rhythm I made real quick, and he did the vocals and sent it right back. So, but it starts with like what makes reggae different from other genres, you know? And I made this thing basically saying like, it's like opposite of rock music. And it kind of is, but like really it's half time, you know what I mean? So, but then I talked about the pulse and the heartbeat and these kind of things that we spoke on earlier. So yeah, it was really great. And again, it got really good reception. And so, I just kept kind of making more tutorials, and I'm like, okay, I'll do one on piano. I'll do one on guitar. I'll do one on bass. 'Cause I'm really a bass player more than anything else. So I just kind of kept making this content, and then like I was close to being monetized. And so I did a push. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get monetized because that'll be so cool, you know? And it's like, trust me, I don't make a lot of money on YouTube, but I think I make $1.50 a day. Woo!
Nice.
But I did some kind of videos that like I watched, like the 5 things I would have, 5 like tips and like 10 things to do. And like, I made those kind of like clickbaity type stuff, 'cause I was trying to like get some more people to the channel and whatever. And then, after a while I started, I took it less serious, I did about 1 a month, and then it became like every 3 months. And then now it's like, it's whenever I get a chance, but that's just because I've been learning to just become a better multi-instrumentalist, So yeah, people can expect, it's just about reggae, man. I've got like some drum videos, some like how to make realistic sounding drums with samples. And, I sell some sample packs and stuff, which the reason I made the sample pack is the same reason that I made the channel, which is they didn't exist.
Yeah.
So
like really good reggae sounds specifically.
Yeah. Like, well, I was just kind of getting sick of the sounds in Logic, right? It's like, okay, I started in GarageBand, and then I went to Logic, and then I was using Logic. And then a buddy of mine gave me some snare samples, and I was like, hey, that was Josh Servant. Big up Josh Servant. He has a YouTube channel, and he does some cool stuff, so go check him out. But yeah, and I wanted a full kit. Like I wanted my own samples, so there was half price rental month or whatever day at my local music store. So I rented a drum kit. It was it was a Yamaha Stage Custom, Birch, like pretty, not the greatest kit, but because it was expensive to rent, and I had to rent a kick mic too. So yeah, I remember the acoustics were a little better in my master bedroom, so I brought the kick, and like I think I daisy chained the 2 XLRs I had, like from my Focusrite into the other room, and recorded the kick. And like, man, so that's my legacy sample pack, and it turned out good. And I rented a couple different snares, and I ended up buying a snare, and you know what I mean? I slowly put together a kit. But just out of necessity, it didn't exist, and I wanted better sounds. So I'm like, I haven't done this, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to record it. I EQ'd it all, put together like a pack, and I just was using it myself. And then I thought, well, hey, like, these are good sounds. They don't really, not many of them exist. At that point, there was a few that came out, but I'm like, I should sell it. And so I like very low key, said it on the channel, hey, if you want to get these samples, like email me. So I would get email inquiries here and there. And I used to sell it for $50, and now I sell it for $35. That same pack, and I call it the Legacy one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually watching that video earlier. I'm not sure if you've done multiple packs, but there was one where you were doing like a whole breakdown where you're like, this is me, can you tell the difference between like the live drums or the sample? Like, it's like indistinguishable.
Yeah, man, that's the new one. So when I built this studio, I had a different kit before this one. I haven't sampled this kit yet, but I plan on it. I just don't know when I'll get around to it. But so the one you're talking about, the one before was just a hodgepodge, it was my first one. And then when I finally got this music studio set up, I'm like, okay, I want one that like sounds like the room, that's like, it sounds like a kit in a room. And so that was like how I came to record, like the conceptualized the one drop kit, I call it. And so that one was recorded here. It was my old kit. And it's a more in the vein of one drop. And it's cool because it loads right into Logic and Ableton, and like you can play it like a drum kit on your. So
the sampler's already preloaded.
Yeah. I went all out on that one, and it's pretty cool. That one's called the One Drop Sample Pack. And
dude, that's gonna be so helpful to so many people. Like, because that's one thing. Like, I've been wanting to kind of produce more songs myself, but it's kind of the same thing with like I'm really inspired by the drums. Like, that's kind of like where I start with a song. Like, it's always like the drums. So like on Logic, it's kind of hard to, be inspired by the drums on there.
It's hard.
So I'll probably have to go pick up a sample pack.
For sure.
Can I find it on your website? Like, where can people can find this?
Yeah, I'll show you real quick here.
Nice.
So that first one I was talking about is the Legacy pack. So let's see, what is it?
Oh, there's like a demo.
So these are the sounds of the kit. There we go. So this is just a rhythm I made with it. So like, it sounds pretty good.
Is it playing right now?
Oh, you can't hear it.
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, yeah, it's playing. You can't hear it, but they'll be able to hear it.
Okay, yeah. I'll pick up.
Yeah, dude, it sounds so good. Oh my gosh. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so anyway, that's the Legacy one, and then this new one here is the One Drop one. I won't play any.
No, you can play it. Like we'll let the people hear. I'll hear it afterwards and be like,
so this is just the drums. Yeah.
Killing it.
You can't hear it, but
no, I can't.
Yeah, it's Roots, bro. It does sound. It sounds like a real drum kit in this room, which is cool about this one.
Wait, what are the other packs you have?
Okay, so I got some other ones. I don't know how to get that one to stop playing. That's a bummer. Whatever, it'll eventually stop. Okay, so I've got some dub stems, which is like just some rhythms that people can dub out,
So it's like an entire like session basically with like every instrument.
Yeah, it's multi-tracks. So I've got 3 here. These are the dub stems, couple rub-a-dub tracks. This one's cool. I'm playing the alto. This was the one where when I finally got the alto figured out, I did 4 layers of it, and like it's all like kind of cinematic sounding though. Anyways, you can't hear it, but that's the dub stems. And then I got this sample pack of the Snare clone, so it's like the boo.
Oh, dude, I've always wondered what those were. I hear. Yeah, I meant to ask someone about that reason, but I forgot. So what are those sounds like that and like the bling, 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 sometimes?
I'll play it. It's like a cacophony of crazy dub sounds. When you hear it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's it. So there was a couple of drum kits that were really popular, or like electronic drum synthesizers that were really popular in the 80s, and the Sinair, it was one of them. It looks like this crazy UFO thing, and you hit the top of it which has like a velocity sensitive drum pad, right? And some guy reverse engineered it and sells it as like a DIY kit that you can solder. So that's what I did. And then I sampled it because I knew people would want it. So yeah, I sell it as a pack. I mean, it's a win-win because yeah, it's a sick kit, man. There's a lot of cool sounds in that.
Oh man.
Yeah. So another one is the you probably heard of Simmons. It's like the.
Oh yeah. Like
Yeah.
the electronic drum.
Yeah, so that's like a whole drum kit. I haven't sampled that. Is somebody? I'm sure that it exists out there somewhere. Actually, there's like a VST. Yeah, there's like a full-on plugin that you can load into your DAW and use that. So,
Wow.
yeah, there's lots of cool 80s sounds. You know. There's one other pack that I wanted to talk about if we're talking about the packs, and it's like the rhythm. I call it the rhythm pack, and it's I recorded my guitar and my organ and my piano. So the chords in the key of A on all those instruments. So you can kind of like make a song, and I mean you can transpose it into other keys and stuff too, but like it's sounds like a real piano,
Nice.
real guitar. It is, it is real. So and what's cool is like when you press the piano, if you press it hard, it's like the upstroke. It's like the chick on the guitar. And if you just press it kind of normal velocity, it's the downstroke. So you just hit it a little bit harder the second time, and it's like the upstroke,
Like,
Yeah, totally. And on the organ, like it's like ooh, ooh, and then like the longer note, you know what I mean? If you hit it harder, so there's some there's some cool intensity stuff that's there, and I'm gonna play like a little. You can't hear it, but like this is the Kahn's rhythm pack.
nice.
Okay. Anyway, enough of like I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. These things are here. I made them so that just like me, you can play along with them. Like if you don't have a real piano and you don't, you know what I mean? And there's lots of other like great reggae stuff. You don't have to buy this. My intent is to like inspire people to want to like make reggae. That's really what it's about. That's why these things exist. Yeah, of course it's like a way to support me, for the YouTube videos and stuff that I put out there for years for free. But more than anything, I just, I made it for people to be able to like make good reggae,
Yeah, man. And I think you're gonna help a lot of people do that, including probably myself once I
Yeah, man, I'll give you a pack. You don't have to pay. You're special.
I want to support you too, man. But you've been on YouTube for well over like 10 years now, I feel like, with your channel. Like when did it start?
When was my first video? 2012?
Yeah.
I think some.
Wow.
Yeah, when I first moved here to Canada, I'm originally from San Diego, but when I moved up here, I started the channel. So yeah, it's 10, 12 years. It's been a while, man.
Yeah, so you've definitely like put in your time on YouTube, and like I'm sure you've made some like pretty cool connections from people like maybe reaching out or like.
Oh man.
Yeah. Like who are some of the people you've met through YouTube, or just cool interactions you've had with?
I mean, that's like a perfect segue to talk about the Rootsmakers, because that whole thing happened because of the YouTube.
Wow.
If you were to search YouTube reggae drummer,
I already know.
Kerrigan reggae drummer will show up, and it's this like amazing studio in France. The drum tones are just like to die for, And people are always like, hey, I want it. Do you have a drum pack that sounds like this? And they'll link that video, and I'm like, that's my buddy Kerrigan. What's up? Like I remember I just commented on a video of his that was about reggae toms, and it was like, and so then the mix engineer, will take it and make it sound better, right? He was like explaining that, and I'm like, bro, I could be that mix engineer. So I'm commenting, I'm like, hey, we should do a collab, and he knew who I was from my channel, which was sick. So I hit him up, and we made a rhythm for the channel, and actually there's a video on it. I think it's called mixing the rhythm section. or something.
Nice.
I don't know. It's a 2-part series where I mix his drums, like kind of on an episode, and then I add bass and I add the whole rhythm section, and I even hit people up on Facebook. I was like, hey, are there any horn players in the house? Like, do you want to get in on this, episode? And yeah, 3 different people, John Roy being one,
Nice.
who's from San Diego, and who I've done dubs for now, like, to answer your question.
Wow.
He did horns, some sax, and I got a trumpet and a trombone. And anyways, like, and then I showed how to mix that. And really, it's like, it's not like this is how to mix reggae. It's just like, this is a practical example of what you could do, or, what I hear, and like what to do with the frequencies and the mix and that. So, but yeah, and then that episode was great, and he hit me up. He's like, hey, I got a buddy, Organics, who plays keys. He's my, he lives here in France too. Like, do you want to do an album?
Wow.
And I'm like, do I want to do an album with Kerrigan reggae drummer? Let me think. Like, yes. So we did, man. And I ended up playing bass and guitar, which I'm not a great guitarist, man, but I just faked it till I made it. And we did the first Rootsmakers album.
Yeah.
Which we pressed, actually. There's a vinyl of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And so just that was such an amazing experience working with him. And like, I'm coming up on 4 years of drums, but like I said earlier in the interview, if I don't play, like, my timing just goes away. This guy, we paid for studio time, and he crushed 10 songs in one session.
Wow.
And like, those were the starting points for our songs. And then we sent it to Organics, and he did all the keys. And then I sent it back to me, and I did the bass, and I added the guitar and the percussions, and that was it. And it's just an instrumental album, and there's like just rhythms and then a dub version. So it's a double album that's on Spotify there, and it's just called Rootsmakers.
Yeah. I love Solid as a Mountain. That's my favorite cut off that one.
Yeah,
the organ parts are so cool on that.
Solid as Mountain? Is that one is that one major?
Wait, let me see.
I can't remember.
Like the organ's like diddly, diddly, or something.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
Organics is sick, man.
Let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, I don't know if my singing helped.
No. You
what song that was.
You got it.
Yeah, here. Let me pull this thing up real quick. Yeah, Solid as a Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Diddly. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that one is so sick. And yeah, all the dubs are awesome too. I'm assuming that you did the dubs on that one too.
Yeah, for sure, man. I love that. That was so much fun.
Yeah, and for a little sneak preview for everybody, we're gonna have Kahn do a little bit of live dubbing a little later on. So he'll demonstrate some of his magic for us. And
I'm looking forward to doing a little bit of dub.
Yeah.
I got the FX like all set up. It's gonna be sick. Okay, so before we end talking about Rootsmakers, I just wanted to so we did that first album, right? And then because I'm not a great guitarist is the real reason. We're like, hey, Kerrigan was like, hey, my next door neighbor is named Reggie, and he's this
What the heck?
amazing dread, like such a epic guitar player, dude. Like just rips solos, like it's like he's with one arm. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started. We're like, we should do an EP, because I'm like, guys, that album was like way too much for me. Because like, Anyway, I'm not complaining, but it was a lot of work. And So we're like, let's do an EP, and let's do one for the summer. Let's make it like, let's do a lovers rock one, because we all love lovers rock. And so we conceptualized, okay, let's make 4 or 5 rhythms, and let's try to find like different artists, to feature. And so we got Lyndon John X, which is a Canadian, I forget what it's called. It's like the Canadian Grammys. He won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Juno. That's what it's called. He won a
the
Juno
Junos, yeah.
for reggae, and he's just an amazing singer, man. He actually did that Big Ship rhythm that I recreated. Super amazing reggae
Wow.
singer. Yeah, and we got him, and then we got 3 Islanders. So we got Kapena Mokiao, who's my buddy.
Yep.
Love you, Kapena. And my buddy Damon Williams, who is like he's like my older brother's age, but man, he's just like he can do like 20 stacked vocals. Like,
Yeah.
and then he's like, oh yeah, and then I throw the auto tune on, and I'm like, bro, you don't need the auto tune like at all. You know, it's like Hawaiians roll out of their mom and they're like singing like on key. You know,
Perfect harmonies.
yeah. So we got him and the wicked Guamanian Jacob Eozia JC.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one did really well for the Rootsmakers, man.
Yeah.
Like, we came out of nowhere doing one instrumental album, and that one hasn't had a lot of views. It since the Lovers EP. But yeah, that one has done really well, and it's super cool. So yeah, I'm just super stoked about the Rootsmakers and those guys. But then a while went on, and we did a couple more releases with Kapena Mokiao, but like they really didn't hit the algorithm or whatever you want to call it. And they're amazing songs. You gotta check them out.
Yeah.
Kapena Mokiao and the Rootsmakers, but like then we just kind of grew apart a little bit, and really it was me, and like I had stopped kind of doing YouTube videos so much, and I just started focusing on the studio build, and like I really just want to be able to play every instrument, so that like it might take me a night to like warm up and then record that part, and then do I can crush the bass real quick. The piano's pretty easy. Rhythm guitar is not too hard. I'm getting the bubble and the clav. Like that's tough to do at the same time, but like that's legit, man. That's how Earl Waya Lindo used to rip it on the Wailers, So I want to be able to be like a true reggae musician, like multi-instrumentalist. So they were asking me, hey, like, what's going on? Like, are we going to do more? And I'm like, yes, we will. But like, I'm on a journey. I'm on a path right now. And he's like, I get it.
Con men too.
Yeah. Kerrigan's like, I get it, bro. I get the vision. He's like, learn the trombone. He's like, do it. Yes, please do it.
Yeah. It's only going to make the Rootsmakers even better, when you can add all these other elements to it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, I love that Summer Lovers EP, like especially like You Can Talk to Me.
Oh,
Like,
man.
I remember when that came out, I was really, really, really stoked on that.
Thanks, man.
Also, speaking of Kapena, this is kind of an older song, but Lover's Tune. I think that's actually how I first became familiar with you and your productions. But
Yeah,
that song is.
I don't know how I missed that Lover's Tune, like to talk about that, because that song actually is what when people hear about DM Kahn, they probably heard about it from Lover's Tune, not from YouTube, to be completely honest. And I know me and Kapena, we always talk and we're like, bro, I couldn't have done it without you, and he's like, no, I couldn't have done it without you. And so it's like one of those dude, you're just like without the vocals, it would be nothing. Without the vibe, it would still be something. I still say Kapena, like even a cappella, that song's amazing, and you could put any kind of vocal, like reggae, not reggae, soul, whatever, and it would still be amazing. But there's something about that song that really, really hit the nail on the head of that like UK lovers rock,
Yeah.
And it was with drum samples, man. It's not even real drums, and like it has the feel, and there's like, it's that little tambourine that's like barely there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like super swingy, and it's that little background organ in the chorus that hits you. You know what I mean? It's a song, man. It's a songwriter's song, and I owe it to Kapena, man. So yeah, like that song came out around the time, I think 2005. So I was, in the Logic days. Yeah.
Wow.
Or 2015. Man, I'm getting
Oh.
it. No. It was 2015. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I was like,
Yeah. No. 2005, yeah. No. We weren't there yet. But, my memory's awesome. Yeah. So, Kapena Mokiao. There's a song, check out Need You Desperately by the Rootsmakers and Kapena Mokiao. It is the most probably produced song and most professional song that the Rootsmakers has done. I even mastered it with the tape machine here that the Rootsmakers paid for.
wow.
Yeah. It's a spiritual song. It's like, it's like, Christ, I need you desperately, and like, it's so true in today's, it's just a heavy message that rings really true. And, I'm honored to work with the Rootsmakers and with Kapena Mokiao. And, it's like the all-stars, like I just played bass on that one and mixed it.
Yeah.
And like, really, that's what I can contribute the best of. I am not Kerrigan reggae drummer. I'd like to think that I'm becoming a drummer, but like, dude, like if you can go to the studio and crush 10 songs and they all have a feel, it's like, yeah, he's the master.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love hearing the story behind that. And I've always wondered this too. Like, so Lover's Tune, like I've never been able to find it on Spotify. It's always like
it's bootleg,
kind of
bro.
like-
It's not
Yeah, like-
officially released.
yeah, why is that? Like it's such a great song.
It's a great question. I've never released any song of my own. Never.
Really?
I've never done. No, it's always been collaborations, and I feel like it's the perfectionist in me. It's like, when it gets to be good enough, I'll release a song.
Yeah.
And like, there was a song I did with my buddy Joey Pablo Selectifar. I big up, bro. It's called Ghetto Youth, and the production isn't very good, but somebody heard it off YouTube and bugged us. Hey man, I want to press that song. It will sell off in Brazil. Like, that is the song, dude. Give us that song. I'm like, yeah, a couple $100 and I'll give you the rights and I'll give you the file. Like, just press it, whatever.
Wow.
And like that song, like it deserves to be heard, right? Lover's Tune deserves to be released. It does. But like, it's out there on YouTube, man. And the girl who uploaded it, I'm kind of choked about it because I'm like, hey, this is my song. Like, but she's got like 600.
Is she, like, collecting on it?
I don't know. She could be. She absolutely could be. But she played dumb. I was like, hey, this is my song. Like, would you mind, taking it down? Because I re-uploaded it on my channel, and I did a little remix to try to make it better or whatever, less kind of harsh, because it is like bright. You know how some of those songs, some of those old songs are like, they're super bright. And that one it's still good, but it's like, that's why I didn't release it, because it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. Only one person was perfect. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's kind of funny, that whole story, man. Like, and yeah, I know exactly what video you're talking about. I didn't even realize that you'd re-uploaded it, because I've always just seen that like random upload from someone who's like, hey, I found this song on SoundCloud and it's really cool, and it's like blew up on YouTube.
Totally. There's some really weird like remixes where it's like they slow it down and they add reverb. It's like a thing, bro.
Oh yeah, dude, I've heard of that. Like, that's kind of like the like Chopped and Screwed. There's like this DJ from I forget if he was from the 90s or something, but DJ Screw, and that was like, he kind of invented this genre where he would take songs and like slow them down and add reverb and stuff.
Yeah, it's the vibe. There's some really bad ones.
They did that to Lover's Tune?
Oh yeah, there's a few. It's a hit song, man. It's just, it was never released, which is totally silly, and I should. But I wanted to, if I ever do it, I want to add real drums. Like, once I can play what that computer, generated beat is, once I can do it live for 3 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever, then I'll do it.
But honestly, that's kind of like the magic of some of those, especially like Lovers Rock, because you think about like Mad Professor Productions.
Yeah.
Like some of those sounds, like, it's like super digi and like
It's true. You're right.
Yeah, like but that's kind of like the magic of it. Like I wouldn't want to hear it like recreated by like
I know.
like a real band. Like that's kind of like what makes it special, I think, you know.
You're
And
right.
I think that yeah, like the song is already like I know like I obviously like coming from a perfectionist point of view, you're probably hearing all these things, but like I mean the song kind of speaks for itself. People are like loving this, you know. I think it's pretty good.
So something interesting about the follow-up song, which was on the Lovers EP, is so Lovers Tune is the Lovers Rock song, but the second one, I don't know why I'm blanking on it. What's the name? You just said it.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about too.
It's the breakup song. It's the anti
Oh,
Lovers
really?
Rock. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there she goes. Yeah,
There she goes.
again, running in my head.
Yeah, so it's like
I love that one.
she
Man.
dumped me kind of thing. It's that vibe, right?
part
It's
two.
the anticipate, whatever. I can't say that word.
Yeah,
It's the anti-lovers rock, but it's like, and it's super minor, bro. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not really lovers rock, but it is because it's like, it's got the seventh chords.
dude, that's funny, man. That's fun. Then you need to make the prequel next. 'Cause that's how it is nowadays. You got the song, then the sequel, then they're like, oh crap, we need to like keep going with this. We're gonna make the prequel.
Bro, I'm down. I'm going to make more music with Capenna for sure. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, like the mess, because yeah, I guess it's not like the message is kind of like the opposite of lovers. There's a song called by Beres Hammond called "Over You,"
oh
where it
yeah.
has like the instrumentation is like super kind of like a lovers rock, but the whole song is just like it's like I'm over you, you know, like
Yeah,
like
I've
done with
moved
you.
on.
Yeah,
I love
That's
those.
so
I
funny.
love the ones that are literal, you know, the love songs that sound like love songs. And well, there's reggae does that a lot too, where it's like, it's super happy, but it's talking about like struggles. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I mean, and really, I think those ones, it's different than love songs. Okay. I kind of changed the thing here, but it's to be uplifting, you know, like they made those happy songs to hopefully uplift the spirits of the people that were struggling, you know?
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of funny you say that too because yeah, I always hear you know people the kind of the general perception of reggae is like oh it's like such happy like relaxing you know we're gonna be on the beach music but like the message is a lot you know usually like
Yeah.
pretty heavy you know it's even songs that kind of sound happy when you just listen to the
Lyrics,
you know,
yeah.
the
A lot of people
instrumentation too.
aren't getting supper tonight. Like,
yeah exactly dude
yeah, it's hope. I don't know where I heard this, but like someone broke down that the bang, you know, the piano and the guitar doing that sound is hope. It's uplifting. And the heavy drums, you know, boom, like that's Babylon, like that's oppression. You know what I mean? So it's this cool like juxtaposition, you know, of like hope, you know, and like you think of ska too. It's like ding, ding, ding. It's like it's hopeful and it's happy, and then
Yeah.
it's like Babylon, but no hope, but Babylon, but no hope. You know, it's like it's this cool kind of
yeah
I don't want to say yin and yang, but like opposing,
Yeah.
you know, things that are happening.
Dude, that's so interesting because I heard Jay-Z talk about in an interview. There's a song "Can't Knock the Hustle" off his first album, and he talks about like the fire and the ice, like the drums are the fire, like
Yeah.
like this hard beat, but then it's got these like really mellow like keyboard pads. And he's like that's the ice, and then he said
Wow.
like his verses like when he's rapping is like the fire, then Mary J. Blige on the chorus is like the ice. You know, it's
Yeah.
like these two things kind of coming together. So that's interesting that like you've heard that about reggae too, and it makes a lot of sense too. Like you've got like the heavy downbeats and like talking about like Rastafarian, like the way that they perceive words like downbeat and like up,
Yeah.
you know, upbeats. You know what I mean? Like that I could see there being a lot of emphasis in that when you dig deep into words.
Yeah, man. Whenever I message Flabaholt on Messenger, he's always like up, up, up.
Yeah.
You know, he's like they're always saying up, like keep it up,
Yeah.
like yeah. Hope you're good. You know what I mean? Hope you're well. Like stay
Up
up.
full
You know?
vibes.
Yeah, up full. Yeah, exactly.
And then when you kind of put that to the music, like we said, like yeah, downbeat versus upbeat. So That's really interesting. Dude, and actually, dude, Von Benjamin, if you really want to go on like a rabbit hole, he's got like this whole, like a bunch of videos on YouTube where he's breaking down like all these words. And not only that, but he's like he's like, there's hidden messages in words. Like if you spell them backwards, there's all this stuff. Yeah. And he's getting like super deep into it.
I've watched some of those. I've been known to frequent the rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, I won't go into it. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, anyone watching, if you guys want to trip out on some stuff, like it's definitely out there. And Von Benjamin is like going deep into some of like the meanings of these words and how they can, like, hidden messages kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of unconscious things that happen, you know, like even just, I know we're doing a Zoom call, but like just the way that people are, you know, like there's subconscious things, like if, you know, if someone looks at their, like, goes like that, it's like, oh, am I like, am I disrupting you? Like, should I go? You know, my boss does that. I'm like, bro, like, I see you. Do you know that you just did that to me? I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I hope he watches this. I doubt he will.
Yeah, dude, let's get into some dubbing too, man. I kind of want to jump into that as well.
Yeah, let's do it. So we've got the dub set up here, and I mean, I don't know how crazy we want to get into it. I could just maybe run through it, and then maybe you can ask me some questions of like what I'm doing.
Yeah,
okay.
I think like let's do the dub, and then we'll break down the magic after. We don't want to like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this track that we're going to play is the Real Rock Rhythm, and it's actually available for free download on Benny Dub's website. So I recently did a tutorial or like a walkthrough for this unit, and they gave me this unit in exchange for like a walkthrough. And I thought, well, it would be cool if like we could give something away for people that bought it or whatever. And then it was like we were throwing around ideas, and it was like, oh, well, maybe we could do like a contest. And then I'm like, who wants to listen to like a bunch of entries, and like how are you going to judge it and like all this extra work? So we're like, let's just give it away for free. You know, that's the easiest. Anyone can have this.
What is Benny Dubs also?
So Benny Dub is a manufacturer of dub hardware.
Oh, wow.
So this thing here is like a spring reverb amp, and it has some bells and whistles, but basically you hook up a spring reverb tank to it, and it powers it, because spring reverb or spring tanks take a lot of signal to like power them. So this thing's cool, and it's got like a one of those filters. Anyways, I don't need to go watch the video if you're curious about this. But Benny Dub, to answer your question, Benny Dub creates this kind of stuff, and they make like all kind of cool things, like those sirens, like a pow pow pow, you know, like those kind of things, and phasers and reverbs and delays and like all the stuff for dub, right? And I never had one, but I saw him posting Prince Fatty stems. Which, big up Prince Fatty, dude. You're a big inspiration to a lot of people. I just want to say max respect to you, bro. And I was like, well, I got some stems too. You know, I showed him earlier. We should do something Benny Dub, right? That was all the conversation was. And so,
nice.
Yeah. So we said, okay, you host these stems for free. People can download them and do their own dub, because it's it's not my original rhythm. It's, you know, a famous Jamaican rhythm from 1968. But anyways, enough talking. Let's see what we can do here. I'm just going to play it and do some dub.
Yeah, dude. Nicely done.
Thanks, man. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. Like, oh, dude, I can't. Through the Zoom audio, it sounds even crazier. Probably, I can't wait to hear like how it actually sounds. We're gonna splice this together at the end.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
dude, yeah, yeah. So explain some of those knobs that you got
Okay.
over there.
So
There's some
let me
crazy
see
stuff.
here. Oh, okay. All right. So here's the stems.
Uh-huh.
So we've got kick, snare, hi-hat, tom 1, tom 2, overhead, room. Okay. So all of those tracks, these are all sent to this fader here. Okay? I
Yeah,
made it
yeah.
really simple with regards to the faders just because I'm on the spot here.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is all the drums, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got bass on this fader.
Yeah.
And then like all the rhythm elements. So piano, guitar, actually, yeah, and the organ, I think. No, the organ, sorry, rhythm section on this one.
Uh-huh.
And then the horn line here.
Oh, nice.
And I think the organ too. Banana, that one's on this one too. So
Nice.
I've got a bunch of effects here. These are sends. So this is send 1, send 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and sorry to interrupt you, but I just want people to know that you played every instrument on this track right now.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
the con man.
Yeah, so people got to know that. That's all you.
Yeah, go download this and do your own room mix too. Like that's the coolest part for me is I spent a lot of time making this track, and
Yeah.
honestly, the drum fill, everything about the drums is exactly like the original. Like I had it,
Wow.
I made little notes on the screen of when to do the fill. Then there's only 3 different types of fills. So yeah, I tried to pay homage to the original. Of course, there's a wicked solo on the trombone in the
Yeah.
original that I could not do. Yeah, but whatever. You got to do with what you work with what you have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay, anyways, yeah.
So there's a few different sends here. These first 2 are the reverbs. So like.
Yeah, the yellow ones.
Yeah, let's just listen. So the first one here, this is the West Finger revalve verb. I think he calls it revalve verb. I don't know.
Wow.
Revolve verb. I don't know. It's valve, right? Because he's in across the pond there.
Yeah.
So let's listen to what that sounds like. So this is completely dry. And then if I add reverb, so it lasts forever.
Yeah.
It's just it's a glorious. So this right here is an amp, right? But it's a transistor based amp. The Westfingal one is a hand soldered point to point valve, like there's tubes in the thing. So what's cool about that is here, I'll try to drive it a little harder. Like it's just got that glorious tube saturation or overdrive. Yeah, and it's amazing, honestly. Wes Finga, just so if you haven't heard of him, he can play like Style Scott, man. Like,
Yeah.
you think I can? Nah, not even close, man. That guy is Style Scott, as far as I'm
Wow.
concerned. Like, he's nuts, and he does amazing dubs and everything. And he's the guy that recreated the big knob. He was the first one that made an aftermarket kind of clone of the Alltech, whatever it's called, the King Tubby one. So I got this one as a DIY kit and I soldered it. But here, I'll show you what that sounds like, because that's really cool too. It's a filter and it does something cool with the sound. Yeah, that's what King Tubby would do to a lot of those, you know, in those early King Tubby productions, he had something like this. It was an Altec, which is the real one, the original. And how I'm routing it, it's kind of nerdy. So this is being sent, this knob basically sends the signal from this channel, right? And it's sending an amount, and I make it so that 12 o'clock is kind of the max of what I want to send, right? Just so that you have to have like some sort of bandwidth to work with as far as gain staging. So it sends to the spring reverb outboard, then it comes back onto this channel right here. Like, so if I play it, see, it's not as loud.
Wow.
But you can't see, just out of camera, there's a little button called insert. So it goes signal from to the reverb, back to this return channel is what it's called. And then, but before it actually comes to return, it goes out of the board to this thing and then back, then it actually returns. So it's intercepting from the spring reverb amp to the board. It's going to this. It's just a way to kind of, they call it an insert. It's to insert an effect. You could insert anything you want, right? That's just what's cool about these old consoles is they have that like routing capability.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the Westfinga spring reverb, which is like the most musical, rich, lush, and I have it super long just because it just sounds so amazing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I love it. Okay, that's that reverb, and then the next one we got is the Benny dub. And it's got this cool, like, it's called an LFO phaser on it, but you can slow it down in a really yeah, so
Nice.
I mean, I did a whole video on that thing. That thing has a lot of cool, like, you can do a lot to the sound, right? And it kind of has one of these, but it does it like automatically. It's like moving around, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've got two delays set up here. So this is the El Capistan, which is the first delay unit that I ever got. And it sounds very musical. Let's see here. So you can have it go forever.
Oh, wow.
Right, with the feed. This is the repeats knob.
Yeah.
And I mean it
Whoa.
I just slowed it down and it does that little speed it back up.
Whoa, dude.
And yeah, like you can, and what's cool is you can send reverb to from the delay.
Oh,
You know, like that's when you're getting into like dub 201.
Oh, yeah.
Is when you start like cascading the different effects. So
You're like stacking the effects.
yeah, stacking and sending one to another is really cool. And then I got this delay pedal here. Sorry, I went to this one again. And that's like got like a ping pong effect going on. It's pretty cool. So that's the UAD or UA Starlight. I didn't have my Space Echo turned on. I've got it ready to go. And then there was one other thing I wanted to show that I haven't yet, and that's this guy. It's a plug-in, so no, it's not working. Oh well, it like does this crazy. It's like a super crazy pitch bender thing. Anyways, that's fine. You can hear it on like the Rootsmakers dub stuff. I use
You
it
should
like
make a sample pack of your own sounds where you go. Dude, do you have like the one where you have like the spring and you go?
oh yeah, so the spring tank's up here.
Yeah.
Well, it's doing the crazy. like thunder and lightning.
Yeah, I love that one, man.
Yeah, I had to put it. It was over here before, but it's just that's the springs in the tank, man. It's how they got that crazy sound.
Yeah. Wow. So it sounds like some of these, like you soldered them yourself, or like you like customized them, like that knob. Like, how did you do that?
So this knob, West Finga sells. I don't know if he does anymore, but there was like such a long waiting list because they're just amazing. Like everybody who did dub wanted one. Like, oh, I want the West Finga big knob, and I kept hitting him up, you know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, dude, like, I love you, man. Can I get on the list, you know? And he's like, sorry, whatever, you know, I got a big list. And I'm like, what about like DIY, bro? I know how to solder. Like, can you just send me the stuff and I'll do it myself? And he's like, yeah, actually, I was thinking of like making some kits for people. And
wow.
And so, yeah, I was lucky to get my hands on a kit. And this thing is like, it's the classic sound. There's another way that you can use it, which we talked about on the insert. Well, you can just have it like just send to that thing, not through a reverb, if that makes sense. Like, so you send signal from here right into that guy, then onto a return. And that's what King Tubby did a lot too, because it's like that filtered sound. And then he would add like delay from there.
Wow.
You know, on those dubs, and that's like a kind of a really classic sound that King Tubby and, you know, scientists used to use as well. Yeah.
How did you learn all this?
So my buddy, I was in the Lloyd Street Rockers. I didn't mention them, and I really should have. But that was the second band, and we ended up actually playing some pretty big shows. Like we opened up for Luciano. I want to say the Mighty Diamonds. Yeah, I don't want to say anything wrong. I think Half Pint as well at the World Beat Center. But anyways, my fellow bandmate Bryce Zion, he's a wicked producer. Yeah, so he played
great.
Yeah, man, he does like well, he does a lot, but his main thing is like steppers, like the kind of the UK like heavy, you know, sick, like heavy, like steppers music.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, back then, and he was still doing it back then. Like he was years ahead of me, man, even though I think we're pretty close in age. He might even be a little bit younger than me, but, he had started making dub like way before me. And, you know, he's a quieter guy, you know, you know, a bit of an introvert. And so, and I'm not, I'm like, hey dude, like, can I come over? You know, and he's just probably just like, well, settle down there, Kahn, you know, but eventually he warmed up to me and like, he tutored me, man. Like he showed me the stuff I'm showing you now. You know, the 101 stuff on dub. And so I just kind of, you know, I think the best thing in music is when like you get the little bit of the ropes, you know what I mean, from somebody, and then you go and you do your own thing, and you just like, it's the school of hard knocks, you just figure it all out, you know what I mean? You know, he showed me a couple things, right? A few things, and then like we would talk about what we were hearing. We would listen to dub like on the way to practice and be like, oh, dude, did you hear that? Like, what do you think that is? And he's like, oh, bro, that's definitely a phaser. So, like, he answered a lot of questions.
Wow.
You know, even of just, like, my own stuff in just listening to that music. So, I wouldn't have the foundation in dub, just like I wouldn't have the foundation in bass guitar without, you know, Batiki, the dude from the Congo, like, showing me the things. And, like, I wouldn't have the, you know, the spark for learning reggae without my mom and without my buddy Ahmed. You know, it's like, those are the little things that you wouldn't know are actually like changing the trajectory of your life, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and I hope that like, I would think that I do. And same with you, like someone heard your horn, man, for sure at a show and be like, I want to learn trumpet. Like I already know it. It's just how many, right?
I hope so, man.
Oh man, without a doubt, dude. Without a doubt. Grammy nominated. I saw that. Bro, I
Thank
should
you,
be
man.
interviewing you, man.
Well, if you ever start the Concast,
Maybe you'll be the first guest, bro.
I would be honored, man. But yeah, dude, thank you for showing all that stuff with the dubbing. That blew my mind for sure. Dude, I saw there was like another green set of stems. Does that mean there's another rhythm there?
Yeah, bro, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay, so this second rhythm is I call it a 1981 rhythm excursion. And it's like when I was able to actually hold a tune on the trombone, which I'm still very new. I've only been playing for like 4 months. But
That's crazy.
I was able to get this kind of, there's something about the horns that, it's like that question and answer. There's no vocals, but like there could be vocals. You know what I mean? It was like I was thinking about a song, and but the horn, like just the little stabs, and it has this horn line, the intro horn line, I've had in my head for probably 10 years, man. Like it's one of those, right? Like I made it. There's a rhythm somewhere in the hard drive with this horn line there. And technically it's musically incorrect, somebody told me. Like the second chord I go to, my buddy John Mex, which I got to talk about him.
Yeah, shout out to John Mex.
Yeah, shout out to John Mex, man. Adam, he's an awesome vocalist and songwriter. Anyways, he's like, okay, the horn line here. He's like, you were in the carpool lane with your seatbelt off going 95, but you got away with it. So I'll just play it and see what you think.
Okay. Whoa. Nice,
That
dude.
was way too loud at the end. I'm gonna try to edit that out.
Dude, you know what's crazy with the Zoom audio? I can only hear like the effects. So when you turn like it's like silent,
Oh,
then suddenly you'll twist it and it's like boom boom like all this crazy reverb and then it's like silent again.
that's so weird, man.
Yeah, but I know like I'll be able to hear it like in post and all the people listening are gonna
Yeah,
be
for
blown
sure.
away.
Just
But
like all
yeah.
those the drum samples you didn't hear.
I know. I think I'm like more excited for this podcast than any other one because I can finally actually hear what's happening. I'm like, I can't wait to edit this so I can like see what I've been missing this whole time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, but yeah, dude. So with the 1981 excursion rhythm,
Yeah,
playing the
man.
trombone and everything. Nice, dude. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all this music and for breaking down everything. I know there's probably people out there that wouldn't want to, share the secrets, but, I appreciate your willingness to just, take everything you've learned and so freely like offer it to everybody, whoever wants it.
Yeah, man. I'm an open book. Is what I say. I think that there are the people who want to hold on to their secrets, and that's fine. Like you do you, bro. Like it's not me. I wanna give back and inspire. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, I appreciate what you're saying and the compliments, and bro, it's been such a pleasure to be on here with you, man. And I
Yeah,
hope I
dude.
get to meet you in person one day.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I feel like, yeah, we've kind of like known each other for years, but yeah,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, we haven't met in person yet. So I also hope that we get to meet in person someday as well. And yeah, I guess, before we wrap, is there anything you want to like leave with? You know what?
Yeah, I would just say check out Rootsman Style with me and John X. So that one was amazing. It was I heard the rhythm, his rhythm from his motif keyboard, and I'm like, dude, give me that. Like I'll put drums on it, And so
Wow.
he sent that one over and I did the like rockers heavy kind of, it's like almost like a Martin Campbell style,
Nice.
like heavy rhythm. And we put that one out and it did good on, on the streaming and stuff, better than any of his other songs, which was really cool. And
Nice.
Tudor from the UK, he has a sound system and he was like, hey man, let me press that. So it's coming
Really?
out on 7-inch. Yeah.
Sick.
So I'm really, really excited about that. And there's another one we did that was like an actual collab, and that one's called Parables. So
Oh, I've heard that one.
yeah, man, that
Yeah.
one is like, it's so cool. I did the alto stacks on it, and I basically played
Nice.
everything but keys, and the keys were amazing to begin with. Like the organ, he's got this wicked organ solo in the
Yeah.
middle of the song, and so yeah, that one's really, really cool. But like it just, me and Adam joke about it. We're like, bro, it didn't tickle the algorithm.
Oh,
It's like sitting at like 950 songs or plays. So it's like on Spotify. So it's like the less than 1,000.
Oh.
And I'm like, Adam, dude, we're better than the less than. So it'll get there, bro. And even if it doesn't matter. Like the song is awesome and the message is cool. It's a biblical message. So I love it. And so, yeah, that was all I wanted to say as far as like what people should maybe check out. But outside of that, man, like I just want to say thank you so much for having me. And,
Yeah.
You're a true inspiration. And I look to you like I'm, going to learn the trumpet, and you've already given me some tips and some pointers. And like, so we're of the same mindset of we're just doing it because we love it. We honor it, and we want to inspire other people to make it. So I
man.
thank you for what you're doing. And, I look up to you, man. The fact that you're able to do music as your, career and you're excelling at it. And I just want to validate what you're doing, man, that like without guys like you, doing the amazing horn lines. Like the live reggae wouldn't be as sweet, bro. So thank you, man.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that. And yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Everybody, go check out those new John Mex tunes, Rootsman Style, Parables, Run It Up, and check out DM Kahn's YouTube channel. And you guys might learn a thing or two, and you know, you never know where that knowledge will take you. So thank you again, Kahn.
All right, that concludes today's interview. We hope you liked what you heard. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Check out our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at Top Ranking Podcast. Tune in next time for more interviews with your favorite artists and band members. Once again, my name is Glenn Holdaway, and thank you so much for listening.